A flight attendant makes a cruel choice, denying a young black triplet his first-class meal. What begins as humiliation mid-flight explodes into a storm after landing, when the boy's true identity is revealed, and his powerful CO father delivers a decision that shakes the airline to its core. The first-class cabin glowed with luxury, the kind of space designed to make travelers feel untouchable. Leather seats stretched into beds, soft lighting cast a golden warmth, and champagne flutes clinked gently in the hands of the elite. For most, it was a cocoon of comfort. But for 12-year-old Jaden Carter, one of 3 identical triplets traveling with his family, it was about to become a stage of humiliation. Jaden sat between his brothers, their resemblance uncanny, same curious eyes, same broad smiles, but his carried an innocence that made him slightly more vulnerable. Their father, Marcus Carter, sat across the aisle, tall and commanding, his presence unmistakable. Marcus wasn't just any passenger, he was the CEO of Carter Global, a conglomerate worth billions, and the principal owner of the very airline whose logo gleamed on the plane's bulkhead. But to Jaden and his brothers he was simply Dad. The boys chattered softly, excitement buzzing through them about their trip. For them, flying first class was less about luxury and more about being with their father, who worked tirelessly but always made time for them. Tonight was supposed to be another memory for the family photo album. When meal service began, the flight attendants moved with mechanical grace, silver trays gliding through the cabin. Plates of seared salmon, buttered asparagus, and decadent desserts landed in front of passengers, who smiled with satisfaction. The boys straightened eagerly as the cart approached. But when it reached Jaden, something shifted. The lead flight attendant, a woman with sharp eyes and a colder smile, paused. She glanced at him, then at his brothers, her lips curling with disdain. "I'm sorry," she said, her tone laced with false politeness. "We've run out of meals for you." Jaden blinked. "But my brothers got theirs." His voice trembled with confusion, not defiance. The attendant shrugged. "Yes, but we don't have enough to serve everyone. Someone has to go without." "You'll be fine." Gasps rose from nearby passengers. A businessman leaned forward. "Wait, you served everyone else. Why him?" Jaden's cheeks flushed crimson as his brothers looked at him in horror. One whispered, "That's not fair," while the other pushed his plate toward him. But Jaden shook his head, fighting tears. "It's okay," he whispered. "I'm not that hungry." Naomi, a woman across the aisle, muttered angrily, "That's disgusting. Singling out a child?" Marcus Carter's eyes lifted from his tablet, his gaze narrowing on the scene. He watched, silent for a moment, his jaw tightening as his son pushed back tears. The flight attendant avoided his gaze, moving briskly down the aisle as if the matter were settled. But it wasn't. For the rest of the flight, Jaden sat quietly, pretending not to notice his brothers sneaking bites of food onto his napkin. His father didn't speak. He simply watched, every muscle in his body coiled with quiet fury. When the plane finally touched down, the attendants bustled through their routine farewells, plastering smiles back on their faces. Passengers gathered their belongings, but the tension lingered, heavy and sharp. Then Marcus Carter rose. His towering frame commanded silence without a word. He stepped into the aisle, his voice low, steady, but filled with authority that sent shivers through the crew. "Not another passenger moves," he said, his voice carrying like a gavel striking wood. The cabin froze. Heads turned. Even the captain paused in the cockpit doorway. Marcus turned slowly, his eyes finding the flight attendant who had denied his son. She stiffened, her face paling as realization crept in. "You humiliated my son," Marcus said, his tone razor-sharp. "You singled him out, denied him what every other passenger received, and you thought no one would notice. You thought his age, his skin, his quietness made him easy to dismiss." The woman stammered. I didn't mean." But Marcus cut her off with a raised hand. "Save it. You didn't just insult my son. You insulted this airline." "My airline." Gasps rippled through the cabin. Whispers surged. "His airline? Wait, he owns this." The attendant's eyes widened in horror as Marcus continued. Yes. I own this airline. And let me make something very clear. Anyone who treats a child, any child, the way you treated mine has no place here. He turned to the entire crew, his voice rising. Every single one of you who stood by silently while this happened, you're finished. All of you. Fired. The crew froze, their faces stricken. The captain tried to step forward, but Marcus's glare silenced him. Passengers erupted into applause. Some cheered, others shook their heads in disbelief, but all felt the weight of justice crackling through the air. A woman clapped furiously, shouting, "Good for you!" while a man muttered, "About time someone held them accountable." The attendants stood stunned, their careers collapsing before their eyes, while Marcus knelt beside his son. His voice softened, tender and full of love. "You did nothing wrong, Jaden. Remember that. They failed you, not the other way around." Tears slipped down Jaden's cheeks as he whispered, "Thanks, Dad." His brothers wrapped their arms around him, a united front of love and resilience. Marcus rose again, his gaze sweeping the crew. "Let this be a lesson. Humanity comes before uniforms. Dignity comes before protocol. And compassion comes before status." As he led his family off the plane, the sound of applause followed them down the jet bridge, echoing like thunder. The message was clear: arrogance had been exposed, injustice corrected, and a child's quiet dignity restored by the unwavering strength of a father who refused to be silent. What would you have done if you saw a child denied his meal while everyone else was served? Would you have spoken up? Stories like this remind us how silence allows cruelty to grow, and how truth and courage can change everything in an instant. Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more powerful stories of justice and resilience.